And Magnus Carlsen bids 9 minutes 27 seconds, loses the bid to Hikaru Nakamura, who bid 9 minutes 17 seconds. It is advantage Hikaru. He takes the black pieces, but starts with 9 minutes 17 seconds. Hikaru with the black pieces, and he will have 9 minutes. How much did he bet? 10 seconds? No. 17. 9 minutes and 17 seconds. Magnus Carlsen starts with 15 minutes. The English opening. We've seen Magnus do this before today.
Yeah, we've seen it before, and it worked extremely well against Levon Aronian. And will lightning strike twice? That's the question. 9 minutes against Magnus Carlsen. Most of us wouldn't be able to handle it. But here we go. Nakamura clearly has done his preparation. He would have been watching that match earlier today that Magnus had. And, OK, Magnus just feeing Kettering. Black is the first to castle. Black can actually wreck the white pawn structure right now. I'm surprised by this choice. Robert, James, what do you think of this opening?
If he trades all the knights, it just leads to an advantage for white. And this is looking like it's happening here. I don't like this for Hikaru. It's Magnus's style of position. We have a semi-open C-file for the white rooks to go after the black pawns. Black has not finished development either. I do not like this one bit for Hikaru, and he's way down on the clock. He's spending so much time already.
Yeah, and there's a trap involved in this move. If black gets greedy here, Hikaru's calculating it. He will have to burn some time here, but if you get greedy and grab a pawn, this backfires instantly. Your queen is hit immediately and skewered.
Yikes.
Queen takes queen. There's an intermediate check. Zwischenzug, Zwischenschuck, as they say in German, in between check and when the king moves, the queen drops. White has won a rook. So Hikaru spots that, of course. He moves his bishop. And now Magnus will be thinking, firstly, he can step his pawn forward, free of charge. You can start advancing on the side you're stronger. We talked about those two halves of the board. Secondly, there might be sacrifices on this square at the right moment. And yeah, I would be worried for Hikaru if white can get away with that safely. First of all, the pawns start advancing. The avalanche begins. And, OK, after a trade, look how backward this pawn is on c7. Eternal weakness for black.
That's ugly.
Oh. Yeah. Wow, this looks like bad news. And Magnus there hinting or doubling up on the C line, targeting the weakness that, David, you just pointed out. Is this position more dangerous than it looks for Hikaru, Robert?
Hikaru wouldn't want this position a classical game against Magnus Carlsen. You give them both an hour, I still think that white wins this position a large percentage of the time. Because the position for black, you're just shuffling back and forth. White can make progress. And speaking of progress, throw the H pawn up the board. There could be an attack because black is saddled with this weakness on c7. Every move that's being played is actually growing the advantage for Magnus. At some point soon, we may see that bishop head to h3, push that pawn to g5. And I know James likes to say, we live, because that bishop may kill black's chances with a checkmate.
Absolutely. You're going to play something like bishop b7, but you can't even play that because it breaks the connection of the pawn on c7. He plays g5 anyway. Break it up. Open up shop, big fella.
Wow.
Open up.
He's really going for it, not holding back at all. h4, g4, g5, what momentum. And it looks like the rooks are ready to get into the attack as well. Every single piece perfectly placed for this.
Yeah, looking great for white. However, Hikaru hits Magnus with a threat. The white queen there needed to step back. That was an important tempo gainer. And now black has gone up a pawn temporarily, but watch out for this white bishop. It's coming, James.
What the? You can play that?
You can take on c7 now?
You can get away with that?
Wow, white's rook can just grab that backward pawn that we've been talking about. This looks fantastic.
He does it. He does it, David.
Yeah, and after this rook trade, we're going to be left with a position, still level material, but black's king's so open. White's rook is coming into the 7th rank. This looks like a massacre. It should end in a checkmating attack.
If Magnus goes queen h7, big trouble for Hikaru on the clock, 4.5 minutes. Is he going to do it? Or will he give a check with the queen or the rook? I think he does it. He goes for it. Robert, you called it. He finds it, and Hikaru immediately hates the fact that Magnus found this move.
Yeah, because now what does black do? Because you want to block a check on the 7th rank, but you can't give it the 8th rank either. And most endgames will be winning for white. Let's talk about pawn structure for a second. Black's pawn structure is broken. So most endgames will result in a pretty easy advantage and maybe a win for white. So I'm not liking the look of this for Hikaru, especially now as he's about to dip under 4 minutes. And Hikaru's thinking, can I take this pawn on b2? Magnus brings his king up. I thought he was going to push the pawn that was under attack to save it. And Hikaru's looking at it. He wants to snack on it. And I feel like what the problem for Magnus right now is even if he starts throwing this game, his advantage out the window, he needs to start making moves more quickly. Hikaru would punish Magnus if the colors were reversed on the clock. Magnus needs to do the same.
Yeah, Magnus, he's a great speed player, of course, but his mouse skills, I don't know if they match Hikaru's. And, OK, still extra minute on the clock. He does fix the structure on the queen side, and the black king runs in that direction. Actually, if the queens disappear, Magnus has great winning chances right now. Can he force that in a favourable situation? Advancing, leading from the front, the white king.
I was not expecting that move.
Yeah, king f3 definitely is a nice move because I'm like zugged out, meaning zugzwang. Like, what do I do as black? I just have to shuffle back and forth.
It is. Yeah, Queen f5 was a big threat, and g6, a huge blunder. What did Hikaru miss here? What is the winning move?
It might have been
It's
queen
not
e6.
that?
It might have been queen e6.
What was the
and
winning
trade
move?
him in king g4.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Forcing the queens off was winning. James is right. Just a couple of moves ago, this was not obvious at all for a human.
I said a lot of Devereski there, you know, pawn in games, right? Queen e6 takes, and then king g4, king f6, and I think he's zugged out, f3.
Let's quickly show that, James. Queen swap, and as you mentioned, it is zugzwang. This position, black needs to defend his pawns, and here white can just wait. For example, black's king can even hit this one, and you have another waiting move. You just push this pawn.
And then take the pawn.
Yeah.
And GG, you win. Wow, that's sick.
And second event in a row where Hikaru is fortunate because against Wesley So in the HEARTSTOPPING Masters, this was exactly what was happening in a queen endgame. A queen trade could have led to a win for Wesley, but I think this is not over for Hikaru. Magnus is going to keep the game going. Look at the clocks. Magnus is up nearly 40 seconds, and the defensive task, just because the king is run to the queen side, it's not over for Hikaru.
Yeah, this one, he's going to have to defend backs to the wall for the rest of this game, at least another 50 moves, and he's going to have to keep pace on the clock. Look at the two kings. They're running to safety. We said there's never going to be safety for them. They're hiding from any potential checks.
Queen b1.
I think, though, there's always queen c6 back to c3. It goes here. I think Magnus can like queen c6 check and bring his queen back to defense. As long as you don't allow a perpetual check, he can flag Hikaru.
Yeah, he can flag Hikaru. Just give a couple of checks first, a couple of quick checks, gain time on the clock, and then retreat that white queen.
Yes.
There's no increment, though. Well, he does give a check. If he comes back, there is a check on a1. Where do you retreat with your queen?
Back to c1, to the first rank. I know you're giving up a pawn f2. You maybe find yourself in a losing position at some point, but you need to beat him on the clock. He only has 45 seconds.
Yeah, 45 seconds. Just check, make your opponent react. That's how you kind of gain time, especially considering your opponent's lower. But Magnus is too slow. Again, not switching to that Armageddon mindset.
When the time gets closer, Hikaru does get a little bit stronger here. Yep, there it is. He pushed and immediately made a move here.
Oh,
wow.
But that move, the eval bar went up. So white can maybe, well, queen e1. You have the a1 square covered. You protect your pawn. You may just start throwing that passed one off the board. He plays it.
That's gross.
And you've got the b4 square covered as well. No checks for black.
Just push the pawn. Just throw it.
Oh,
He
my
does
goodness.
it. He finds it. And 30 seconds for Hikaru. Can he stop the e-pawn from advancing, or is this just game over?
I think he's going to block it with his queen, but then he has no more checks.
Yeah, and then the black queen will be purely passive. It's going to be one-way traffic. The white queen is going to activate herself now, and you can play forever this position, Magnus, but 5-6 seconds in it. Wow, it's all about the clock now. It's a winning position for white, we think,
Oh
or
my
at least
God.
a better position, but is it enough on the clock?
Wow, king b1.
Got to move.
Oh, no more checks.
Oh, and what's happened there?
What happened?
We see a reaction. Magnus is mouse.
Oh, no!
Oh, my God. Did he pre-move?
He mouse slipped.
Whoa, and Hikaru there celebrating. Magnus mouse slipped, blundering into that queen. What an end. And Hikaru Nakamura takes this match.